The Piri Race Map. Late in 1929, Gustav Deissmann, a German theologian, was working in Istanbul at the Topkapi Palace Library. While cataloguing antique items, he found a gazelle skin parchment in a stack of discarded items. This parchment had a map drawn on it, and Deissmann was amazed to see that it appeared to show the outline of South America. He rescued the parchment, which is now known as the Piri Race Map. The map he studied had been drawn and signed in 1513 by Turkish cartographer Hagi Ahmed Muhyiddin Piri, also known as Piri Race. In addition to being a cartographer, Piri Race served in the Turkish Navy, for which he held the rank of admiral. He stated that he had used 20 different maps and charts as his source documents. 8 of them were Ptolemaic maps, maps of the known world according to the 2nd century Hellenistic or Greek society, 4 were Portuguese maps, 1 was an Arabic map, and 1 was drawn by Christopher Columbus. This simple piece of preserved gazelle skin has been the basis of intense controversy in the world of cartography. For one thing, the map appears to show Antarctica almost 300 years before it was discovered. Not only does it show Antarctica, but the continent is drawn as a land mass as it would have appeared before it was covered with its ice cap over 6,000 years ago. There was no explanation for the inclusion of Antarctica without the ice cap. Professor Hapgood and his students theorized that the Piri Race Map had to have been based on information older than 4000 BCE. This is long before any known sophisticated civilizations or any well-defined languages. The map introduces the theory of an ancient civilization that had the skills to navigate the world's oceans and accurately chart the lands they visited. Professor Hapgood went on to state that the topographical representation of the area inland from the coast was so accurate that this ancient supercivilization had to have aerial capabilities in addition to their nautical and cartographic abilities. This naturally led to a theory of an alien civilization or one based on the lost city of Atlantis. The Mummified Monk. Researchers at the Drents Museum in the Netherlands made a shocking discovery when they imaged an ancient Chinese statue and found a nearly 1,000-year-old mummy inside. Sitting in the lotus position, the mummy fits within the statue perfectly. On the outside, it looks like a large statue of Buddha, the museum said in a release. Scan research has shown that on the inside, it is the mummy of a Buddhist monk who lived around the year 1100. Glowing through the statue's golden cast, the human skeleton is believed to belong to Buddhist master Liu Quan, a member of the Chinese meditation school. The mummified body hidden inside the Buddhist statue is sitting on a roll of cloth, Buddhism expert Eric Brun told Discovery News. On this cloth are Chinese characters written in black ink, mentioning the name of the venerable monk, Liu Quan, he added. According to Brun, the name means 6 perfections. It refers to the virtues perfected by a being who seeks Buddhahood through the systematic practice of the 6 perfect virtues but renounces complete entry into nirvana until all beings are saved, Brun said. The museum speculates Liu Quan may have self-mummified in order to become a living Buddha. Practiced mainly in Japan, self-mummification was a grueling process that required a monk to follow a strict 1,000-day diet of nuts and seeds in order to strip the body of fat. A diet of bark and roots would follow for another 1,000 days. At the end of this period, the monk began drinking a poisonous tea made from the sap of the Japanese varnish tree, normally used to lacquer bowls and plates. The tea caused profuse vomiting as well as a rapid loss of bodily fluids, possibly making the body too poisonous to be eaten by bacteria and insects. A living skeleton, the monk was then placed in a stone tomb barely larger than his body, which was equipped with an air tube and a bell. Never moving from the lotus position, the monk would ring the bell each day to let those outside know that he was still alive. When the bell stopped ringing, the monk was presumed dead, the air tube removed and the tomb sealed. After another 1,000 days the tomb would be opened to check whether the monk had been successfully mummified. Of the hundreds of monks that tried this horrifying process, only a few dozen actually became self-mummified and venerated in temples as a Buddha. The Padmanabhaswamy Temple. The temple is dedicated to the adoration of a particular manifestation, or avatar, of the Hindu god known as Vishnu, or Krishna, here enshrined in the Anantha Shayanam posture on the serpent known as Shisha. For generations, the temple has been managed by the Maharaja of Travancore. Deities can actually own property in India, though, for obvious reasons, they require an earthly representative to act as guardian or custodian for anything concerning its administration. The role in this case is fulfilled by the royal figure, the Maharaja, as per Indian law and custom. However, by 2011, several concerns were brought to the Supreme Court of India about mismanagement of the temple and its contents. It was suspected many artifacts had been stolen, artifacts that had been left as offerings to Vishnu across the centuries and that were now being taken away from their rightful place. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of opening several of the vaults in order to ascertain the state of the treasures held within, so a special committee was sent. And what they found was staggering. For a long time now, the temple management authorities had been aware of the existence of 6 different vaults, designated in official documents by a single letter, from A to F. 2 additional chambers, Vault G and H, have been discovered since. 4 of the vaults, C, D, E, and F, were routinely opened every year by the temple priests in order to take out items for use in special ceremonies, which were deposited back afterward. As for the rest of the chambers, they knew they had been closed for centuries and feared what might happen if they were opened. Supposedly sealed by religious rituals, opening them could cause the anger of the gods, after all. Legends about them abound. Some said they were guarded by giant snakes, who would kill anyone who tried accessing beyond the permitted boundaries. Others claimed behind the doors there was an entire ocean, so that opening them would flood the entire city in an instant. Yet others believed traps and curses would befall trespassers. But pretty much everyone knew the chambers contained unimaginable wonders accumulated over thousands of years of devotees donating their riches as tribute to the deity. And this is where legend meets fact. When the Supreme Court of India sent an official committee to open Vault A, they discovered a wealth of treasure valued in the billions. But still the other vaults remain closed after centuries, and no one can ascertain what riches might lie behind. Supposedly, the largest treasure could be hidden in Vault B. And the Supreme Court wanted to know. But when the special committee managed to open the metal grill door that secured the entrance, they found a big and sturdy wooden portal behind it. So they opened that one too. And then they found a third door, this one made of iron, securely jammed and hard to budge. The committee discussed forcing their way in, but in the end decided not to. After all, this is a sacred temple, and terrible rumors warn against any such entry. Even beyond the myths and superstition, it would be nothing short of disrespectful by any measure. So what can you do? Hire a locksmith, of course. But before the locksmith could arrive, the royal family filed an injunction against opening Vault B, an injunction that still stands today. As per the law, no one can open that door for now, so its contents shall remain a mystery for a while still. We can only imagine a vault whose walls are made of gold. Golden weapons and thrones encrusted with thousands of invaluable gems. Statues made of solid gold and beautiful craftsmanship lying on mounts of diamonds and emeralds far too numerous to catch in a single glimpse. Or so the legend goes. The Hall of Records. The Hall of Records is said to house the knowledge of the ancient Egyptians documented in ancient papyrus scrolls and is believed to account for the history of the lost continent of Atlantis, as well as its location. Compared in importance, the Egyptian Hall of Records is just as the Great Library of Alexandria, which housed Grecian knowledge. While mainstream scholars firmly state there is no evidence whatsoever to indicate that the Hall of Records is real, scientists like Robert Schoch and Thomas Dobek among others believe it could be located underneath the Sphinx. In the book Message of the Sphinx, Graham Hancock and Robert Bauval state that the Egyptian government together with American archaeologists have blocked any investigations around or underneath the Sphinx, preventing anyone from locating the underground cavities and finding out what is located beneath the Sphinx. While those who believe the Hall of Records exists was built by the ancient Egyptian civilization, there are others who think that the hall existed but was not built by the ancient Egyptians, but rather by a much older ancient civilization that predates the ancient Egyptian. However, what if the Hall for Records was not located underneath the Sphinx? What if there is, in fact, a giant underground library somewhere in Egypt? Suppressed by mainstream archaeologists and scholars, there is an enormous underground library discovered in Egypt a while ago. It can easily be considered as one of the greatest discoveries of ancient Egypt, yet only a few know about the existence of its existence. It is a discovery that could be considered as one of the most significant findings of the century, yet, for an unknown reason, most mainstream scholars, together with the Egyptian researchers, have tried very hard to keep anyone far from it. Based on the descriptions of ancient texts such as those from Herodotus, and others who visited the magical labyrinth in the distant past, a 17th-century German Jesuit scholar called Athanasius Kircher created the first pictorial reproduction of the enigmatic labyrinth just as Herodotus described it. It has 12 courts covered in, with gates facing one another, 6 upon the north side and 6 upon the south, joining on one to another, and the same wall surrounds them all outside, and there are in it 2 kinds of chambers, the one kind below the ground and the other above. Upon these, 3,000 in number, of each kind 1,500. The upper set of chambers we ourselves saw. The incredible underground library could easily be what is referred to as the Hall of Records. Discovered in 2008 by a group of Belgian and Egyptian researchers, the underground temple consists of over 3,000 rooms which are filled with incredible hieroglyphs and paintings. The enigmatic underground complex is located less than 100 kilometers from Cairo at Hawara, not far from the Pyramid of Amenemhat III. This incredible discovery has been kept away from society under mysterious circumstances. The results of the expedition were published in 2008 shortly in the scientific journal of the NRIAG, and the results of the research were exchanged in a public lecture at the University of Ghent. Media from Belgium attended. However, the finding was quickly suppressed since the Secretary-General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, Egypt, put a hold to all further communications about the discovery due to Egyptian national security sanctions. Are these proofs of the existence from a more superior race from ancient origins? Can a person mummified himself and live on to be more than 1,000-year-old? Strange are these times we living in. Be sure to subscribe to follow up on more mystic from our world.